What's going on, YouTube? So today you might be able to tell that I'm sitting in a Honda Pilot, but this is not just any Honda Pilot. This is the new for 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition, which is the new top dog in the lineup. So is it worth its $55,000 price? That's what we're here to dive into today. Now let's start out here under the hood with our spec dump. Now for the Black Edition model, the powertrain doesn't change. So you still have the 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6 making 285 horsepower. That's paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. All-wheel drive is standard on the Black Edition, which means your fuel economy comes in at 21 miles per gallon combined. Now, of course, we're going to be discussing the powertrain in more detail later on in the test drive. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading and discussing resale value and reliability. So you want to stay tuned for that. But first we need to shut up the hood and see all the exterior and interior changes for this new Top Dog Black Edition. But now it's time for us to talk about those exterior changes, and that's really the biggest area of change for this new Black Edition. But before we get into that, I do want to point out the Black Edition is new to the US market for the 2025 model year. And of course it was offered on previous generations of the Pilot, but now it is making an introduction for this all new Pilot. Now, as far as the overall design theme that you're going to see going on here, we do have a very squared off grille, just like with any other Pilot model. We have a special blacked out finish through here, big Honda badge, and we do also have a special Black Edition badge on the right side. Now, in terms of other design elements, you will notice that this piece is fully blacked out. That is chrome on other versions of the Pilot, and that leads us into the headlights. These are going to be reflector LED headlights, and that's standard on every single version of the Pilot. You also have the LED turn signal indicator across the top. And then dropping down, we do have some LED fog lights. And before we get any further, I do also want to point out that Drew was unable to make it to the review today, so Josh is here helping us out. All right, so moving around to the rear design of this Pilot Black Edition, you're of course going to see similar changes to what you saw in the front, a lot of blacked out elements. So as far as that is concerned, your Pilot branding is blacked out, your all-wheel drive branding is blacked out, and you do also have a new badge back here specific to this model. Now, specifically your Honda badge is not blacked out, so that's interesting, and we do also have an exposed wiper. Now, as far as the taillights, these aren't going to change, so let's go ahead and see if all the taillight elements are LED. We do that in all of our reviews. As you can see, we have an LED brake light portion, incandescent reverse light, and turn signal. So 1 out of 3 elements are LED. As we drop down to this lower fascia, this is going to be finished in a rugged matte black. We also do have trapezoidal exhaust outlets that are finished in silver. And as far as our tow rating, it comes in at 5,000 pounds because all-wheel drive is standard. Front-wheel drive Pilots will tow less at 3,500 pounds. Now, the Black Edition wouldn't be too good of a Black Edition if it didn't give you fully blacked out wheels, and indeed that's what you're going to find. We do have a 20-inch wheel. This is very similar to other variations of the Pilot wheel. It's just going to be a full gloss black finish. I really like the way it looks, especially when you pair it with the black paint color. Now, as we head up to the mirror itself, it is going to be fully loaded. Like I said, this is the Top Dog Pilot, so we do have blind spot monitoring, heating, power folding, and you even have auto dimming on both the driver and passenger side. Now at the side, just like any Pilot, this comes in at 199.9 inches in overall length. And of course, we do have roof rails up top finished in black. I also want to point out for exterior colors, this Black Edition is available in 5 different exterior colors. I really like the fully blacked out look that we've gone for here, but you can get brighter color options if you prefer. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, Honda's including every single safety system as standard equipment for 2025, so that's of course going to apply to this model. But guys, let's go ahead and check out those exclusive interior elements. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, so let's check out the interior. But before we get into that, I do want to show you your key fob. It's your typical Honda key fob. It has a really nice shape to it. Feels pretty solid in the hand. You do also have a remote start built in, and that's going to be standard on sport grades and above in the Pilot lineup. So in order to open the door, you just reach your hand behind the door handle. That's going to fold the mirrors out and unlock the doors. But go ahead and check out this exclusive Black Edition interior. Now, you may be surprised that for the Black Edition, you are going to get some other color options besides for red. And what I mean by that is you're probably already noticing the fact that we have red accenting. That's really the special thing for the Black Edition's interior, is that we have red accenting throughout. So as you can see, we do have little red accents in the perforations themselves. That looks very premium and upscale. We're also going to add special Black Edition stitching in the headrest itself. Now, black is going to be the only seat color option that you can get here. It is going to also be a real perforated leather. Now, as far as the seat adjustments themselves, it's going to be the same as pretty much any other Pilot. It's 10-way power adjusting, and we do have 2-way lumbar support. Over on the door trim, you will also notice that we have 2-person memory. But let's go ahead and hop inside and dive into some other special interior features. And when you get inside, you will notice that you have a little bit of an animation in the gauge cluster, as well as a little sound effect. But as always, we'll start out by talking about the interior materials. So as far as the door trim is concerned, we do have some nice materials. Leather on the armrest portion, leatherette all through here, and a nice soft touch plastic on the upper part. This is going to be your trim piecing. It's kind of like a faux carbon fiber. That stays the same for the Black Edition model. As we head up to the upper dashboard, all of this is going to be finished in a nice soft touch plastic, and we do also have a leatherette going all through this center section. Now, when you go to the lower areas, all of this is going to be finished in, a hard touch material, which I'm a little disappointed by, with this being the top dog Honda Pilot. But let's go ahead and start it up with the push button start. All right, but let's dive into the individual features for this top dog Pilot. All right, so when it comes to your gauge cluster, you will notice that we have a full digital gauge cluster. It's a 10.3-inch setup, and of course you can customize the different designs as well as what information comes on in the gauge cluster itself. But not only that, because we do have the top end one, we also have a nice head-up display up in the windshield. Now, as we head back to the steering wheel itself, it is going to be finished in a nice leather wrapping. We also have some red color contrast stitching details going through here. The wheel itself is also going to be heated, and that's because that's standard on Trail Sport trim levels and above. Additionally, we have rain sensing wipers, and the wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping. But this is a Honda Pilot after all, so let's go ahead and dive into the interior storage, because that's very important for really any family. So if we open this up, you will notice that we have donuts stuffed inside. And the reason we have donuts stuffed inside is because, well, that's our emblem, and we test out the center console volume by stuffing these donuts. So you will notice that we have 23 donuts inside of here, which is absolutely insanely good. It's actually just one away from our maximum rating of 2 dozen donuts. But never fear, there's room right here on the passenger storage shelf for another donut. So this Pilot really has incredible storage solutions, and that is very important for families. Now, shutting this up, we have 2 cup holders inside, and then moving up, we have a nice little storage cubby right here. You also have a wireless phone charging pad on the left side, as well as another little storage cubby right here. Now, one of the other things I do want to point out that is unique and special to the Black Edition model is the ambient lighting. So you will notice that we have an ambient lighting strip that goes across the dashboard here. It also goes on the door trims, and it's finished in a special red color just for this trim level. Now, also in this area, you will notice that we have a push button style shifter. Just push D for drive. Press once more. That will allow you to manually shift with the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. Going into reverse, you will notice that we have a 360-degree camera. We're also going to have active trajectory, as well as a couple different views that you can pick between. Do be aware though, you're not going to have any like fancy 360 spins, and the resolution on this is not quite as good as some of the rivals. Now, in order to go into park, you just press the P. Additionally, behind that, you're going to have your drive mode selector, your auto start stop defeat button, as well as your electronic parking brake and brake hold. Now, moving on up the dashboard, you will find our climate controls. Now, one thing I really like that the Pilot includes are physical controls. A lot in the segment are moving to fully digital setups, and I like just a knob that has a really clicky feel to it and allows you to adjust the temperature quickly. Now, I do want to point out this is a 3-zone automatic setup on the vast majority of Pilot trim levels. Also on the vast majority of Pilot trim levels, you will have heated front seats. However, you have to choose for the Elite or Black Edition if you want ventilated seats, which certainly is useful on a hot day like today. Now, moving on up, you will also find a physical volume knob, which I'm happy to tell you. That's to control the 12-speaker Bose premium audio system that you get on the high-end Pilot. So let's go ahead and give it an audio sample. Yeah, so overall audio quality in this Pilot is pretty good. It's not quite the top tier that you're going to be able to find in this segment because Bose is a very bass-heavy audio system. However, I think you're going to be pretty satisfied with it overall. Now, let's talk about this display. Now, you guys have been commenting about this for many years, so let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room. This is the maximum screen size that you can get on the Honda Pilot. This is a 9-inch display. This is actually the upgraded display. Other more basic Pilots will get a 7-inch display. Now, as far as this 9-inch display, it runs nice and smooth. As you can see, we have it connected to Apple CarPlay right now. That is because wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto do come on this larger 9-inch display. Now, you'll also notice that we have built-in navigation. However, be aware that it is kind of an older style navigation system, so the graphics on here are not going to be class-leading. Now, moving up from that, we have an auto-dimming mirror. We also have 3 HomeLink garage door openers built into the bottom, and also a feature that's included on your higher-end Pilots, aka the Trail Sport and above, would be this panoramic moonroof. As you can see, it's a very large piece of glass. It really goes all the way back past the second row of seats, and that lets a lot of nice air in. All right, so let's dive into the rear seat area for this Pilot. Now, as far as this area is concerned, the Pilot's always been excellent. That's going to continue this year. About 40.8 inches of legroom, about 40.2 inches of headroom. That is a ton of space, guys. It puts it as one of the largest offerings in this segment that you can get. I'm 5'9" for reference, and one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is get out our ruler so we can see how much knee room we have. About 9 inches sitting behind my own 5'9" driving position, so very good. Also, my feet can slide up underneath of the seat, and I do want to point out the seat can slide forward and back a very good distance. It can also recline, as you might expect, to really maximize your overall comfort. Now, that's not all there is with these seats. As you can tell, we have the bench seating configuration. So that means overall we have 8-passenger capability in this Pilot. Now, the thing worth noting is you're probably like, well, this top-end model, maybe I want captain's chairs. Well, if you choose a Touring, Elite, or Black Edition, that's where you're going to get this multi-function middle seat. So this allows you to fold the armrest down, kind of have like almost an executive seating position with a nice padding here, 2 cup holders inside, or you can actually fully remove this middle seat and store it in the cargo area. So if you just want 7-passenger seating, that full captain's chair experience, you can have that by just entirely removing this middle seat. And we're not done yet with features, so let's go ahead and dive into this area. We have standard vents. We also have our own climate controls. Additionally, since we have the Black Edition, we're going to have heated rear seats. Vented rear seats are not available. Dropping down below that, we have a household outlet as well as 2 charging USBs. So you should be able to keep everything charged up. You're also going to have a convenient phone holder in the seat back pockets, and you also have a storage cubby right here as well. Turning to the door trim, we have a really nicely done door trim. First of all, you're going to have rear window sunshades. That's standard on your upper end Pilot models. Down below, we have leatherette through here, leather on your armrest portion, and you see that there's tons of space. As a matter of fact, it's enough space to fit the Stanley water bottle with ease in the door trim, so I really like that. We have tons of cup holders in this model. And let's check out the third row. So in order to get back here, you just press that button right there. That's a really nice and easy way to get into the third row itself. It actually came down originally from the Acura MDX down to this Honda Pilot model. And then, once we sit back here, wow, we have a really good amount of space. About 32.5 inches of overall legroom, about 38 inches of headroom. So, like I mentioned multiple times at this point, I'm 5'9". So, being 5'9", sitting behind the seat with it slid all the way back, I still have plenty of room. I have about an additional 1.5 inches of knee room. My feet can slide up underneath the seat, and the thigh support is also quite good. Now, as far as features are concerned, we have 2 cup holders. We're also going to have climate vents integrated into the pillar itself, and we also have a USB-C port. As far as how this lands on the Car Confections third row rating scale, I'm going to say that this is fit for in-laws because there's plenty of space. It doesn't have a ton of luxury goodies, but overall, plenty of space. Now, walking up to the tailgate, you are going to get a power one on a lot of the Pilot trim levels. Additionally, if you choose the Touring, Elite, or Black Edition, you're going to get the hands-free ability as well. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how much space you have in this Pilot Black Edition. We're sitting at about 18 cubic feet of space behind the third row of seats, 49 cubic feet if we reach up here and fold those seats down. And then as a maximum, we are sitting at 87 cubic feet. If you're curious as to how that compares to the rivals, that is one of the largest offerings in the entire segment. So a lot of space. Now, I want to point out you do have additional space up underneath of the floor. You will notice that this is actually quite a lot of space, and that's because it needs to be able to fit that middle seat in the second row. But let's go ahead and fold the second row down. So as you can see, folding down the second row is a little bit of a process because you have to do each seat independently. But let's go ahead and get our cargo measures. So from behind my seating position to the rear of the cargo area, we're sitting at about 85 inches of overall cargo length. From behind the second row to the rear, about 48 inches. From behind the third row, let me see, there we go. Remove those formats. We're sitting at about 18 inches of length. Let's see the overall width. 46 inches wide, and as far as height is concerned, about 30 inches tall. So overall, a very practical choice, as any Honda Pilot has been in the past. I also want to point out your spare tire is integrated underneath of the bumper. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. And we'll also be getting our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. Now, for those of you that don't watch the channel and haven't met Josh yet, he's here joining me today to help out with filming and to join in on this Pilot review. So say hi to him in the comments section. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration. And there was a quick acceleration up to just a little under 60 miles per hour in the Pilot Black Edition. Now, as you could tell from that acceleration, we do have plenty of power on board. And if you're paying attention at the spec dump, you heard me say that this has a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 engine. This is making 285 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. So no changes for the Black Edition. It is going to be just a styling package.
And what doesn't change as well for this Black Edition is just how refined that V6 engine is. It's something we all love here on the channel, and it's something that certainly does not change for the Pilot in this Black Edition form.
Yeah, so like Josh was saying, this V6 really is just kind of unique, honestly, in this segment. Now, most of the rivals are switching to turbo 4-cylinders. We just sampled out that new Chevy Traverse, GMC Acadia, and while those engines are powerful, they don't have nearly the level of refinement that this V6 has. I just absolutely love when you put your foot down. It just sounds luxurious. It sounds like I'm in an Acura MDX, which is a good thing.
Yes. Now, the reason a lot of these rivals are switching to Turbo 4s is something that this Pilot doesn't have, is because a lot of them are gaining hybrid systems. That's still something that the Pilot does not have. Honda's not added it in, but it is something that we're hoping that they will add for the future, and maybe not even sacrifice the V6 with it. You never know.
Now, just doing a little bit more of a gingerly acceleration there, I do want to talk about the other aspect of the powertrain, which would be your transmission. We have a 10-speed automatic on board, and that goes for every single Pilot model. This is an in-house developed 10-speed automatic, and certainly it does a really good job. It blends right into the background when you're doing a casual acceleration like that. As you saw in the harder accelerations, it also does a good job of shifting down to get you the power when you need it. So I have no complaints with this transmission whatsoever. Now, the thing worth noting is that the Black Edition model does come standard with all-wheel drive. So just like the Elite trim level, all-wheel drive for all of the Black Edition models. So that is something worth noting. You can get better fuel economy if you choose the front-wheel drive variants on the lower end of the Pilot lineup.
And speaking of that fuel economy, since you do only have all-wheel drive on the Black Edition, you will have one combined rating of 21 miles per gallon combined for this all-wheel drive model. If you get one of the lower trims that can get two-wheel drive, you will have a combined rating of 22 mpg.
Which is worth noting, that's not the best fuel economy out there. However, it's really not that much lower than some of those turbo 4-cylinder rivals. And rounding the corner there, I do want to talk briefly about your driving dynamics. This is a Pilot after all, so certainly it is going to be definitely more comfort focused than anything else. However, it does seem to have a better driving experience than some of those other rivals. This is a very popular segment. We review everything in this segment. So I have to say, I do kind of like the Pilot's overall drive experience a little bit better. It drives a little smaller than it is, that's for sure. Especially when you do stuff like this with a tighter turning radius, you can kind of appreciate that. The steering is also quite responsive.
And if y'all remember, we had a Pilot earlier this year for not just 1 week, but over 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we spent a lot of time behind the wheel of the Pilot, and I think all of us agreed that it really feels smaller to drive than it really is. And that's something I really appreciate about this offering.
Love the sound that this V6 makes. Now that we're cruising at around highway speed, I do want to talk about the ride quality. Like Josh just mentioned, we had this vehicle for about 2.5 weeks earlier this year. We've sampled it out many times before that as well. And this Pilot is just so good when it comes to ride quality. The seats are incredibly comfortable. Even with the largest wheels on the outside, it soaks up almost every intrusion that you can hit in the road. It truly is a fantastic riding vehicle, one of the best family vehicles that money can buy. Now, another aspect of that experience would be your sound level. So let's go ahead and put it on fan speed 1 and get that going 55.
All right, we're gonna settle at 55.9 decibels for this Honda Pilot Black Edition. And I will now go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, where we have all of our sound level readings posted, and we can go compare this offering to all of its rivals. Now, 55.9 decibels will put it near the top of the segment, and it's really close to the one that we mentioned that we tested earlier this year. So definitely a very good sound level reading, and it can attest to the wonderful ride quality that Mason was just talking about.
And now it's time for us to dive into our slam dunk and airball favorite element, least favorite element about the Pilot Black Edition. Josh, why don't you kick us off with our favorite element?
Well, the slam dunk has got to be the looks of this Pilot Black Edition. We're really glad that they brought it back for 2025 here in the US market, and we think that the styling elements look really good. We love this interior, and you get little accents like the ambient lighting, and we just really like it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of people will buy this. They like the blacked out looks nowadays. Now, as far as the airball is concerned, that is going to be the price of this Black Edition. It is positioned as the top offering in the segment, or top offering in the Pilot lineup. So we have an additional price premium over the Elite, which was already pretty expensive. So we're sitting at around a little under $56,000. And for that money, I feel like you can get an MDX, and also this cabin is not quite up to snuff for that $56,000 price point. So that's going to be the airball today. And as far as last things worth mentioning, I do want to point out your warranty. You have Honda's signature warranty, 3-year 36 basic, 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain. However, Honda has made a change for 2025 model year, actually by reducing your complimentary maintenance down to only 1 year of complimentary maintenance. Last year, the 2024 model had 2 years. That has been reduced down for all 2025 Honda products. And finally, let's talk pricing. So for the Pilot, we start at a price of around $39,900 for the Sport trim level. Now, in terms of this model, this is the top end. It's actually more expensive than the Elite model. We're starting at $54,280. So that also means once you add in the $1,395 destination, we're sitting at $55,695 as tested today. So this is certainly the most expensive Pilot that you can get, but I would argue that you are getting a lot for that money. Now, if you're looking to buy a Honda Pilot or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, let's talk resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Honda Pilot's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, this Pilot will be worth 64.79% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years, 34.3%. Now, it's worth noting that represents actually the very best resale value percentage of any vehicle brand that we look at.
Now, we've also done the same for predicted reliability by creating the Combined Reliability Index, which takes a combination of data from trusted automotive resources. Now, Honda is rated number 3 in relation to all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you want to know more about our predicted resale value and reliability tools, be sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car certainly is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the new 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition. If you enjoyed this specific Black Edition review, which we hope you did, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and we do a lot of car reviews on this channel that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on, and I also know that you won't want to miss out on all the fun that we have on this channel. I also want to remind you, if you want to know all the trim level specific information about the entire Pilot lineup, we have actually reviewed a Pilot already where we covered that information. This was focused specifically just here on the Black Edition. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.